I am told that this is a Tanglewood Orleans made by Court Guitars. And I think we can date this around 20 years ago. It's an AS39, whatever the hell that means. They're not very good at keeping serials or names or anything like that there, and I only know it's an AS39 because what the internet tells me. It doesn't have a great deal of problems. It needs cleaned up. The intonators are wrongly placed or incorrectly placed. That one should be back one and that one should be back one. And also we have a little issue with the bridge. It can tilt forward, but when it tilts forward, you'll see that the string hits the back of the bridge, and I think that can cause a buzz, but that could be the reason. The other thing is that it's got a bad underbow. Oh, where's my finger? The other thing is it's got a bad underbow, so the truss rod better work. But other than that, we're going to get into this, clean it up, set it up, adjust it. One thing I'm not particularly fond of is these things are leaning forward. They're not sitting flat. Not a big deal, but we'll see as we go through it. Just to show my point a little bit. That's dead because it's touching the wood. That's dead because it's touching the wood. Don't worry about the tuning. But you can see they're all resonating. But the wood, if it's not touching the wood, when you play this string, it can vibrate and you get a buzz there. So it's well to keep that twisted back all the time. I think that the screws aren't firmly into that wood, so it moves about a bit. So if I was, well, I'll advise the chappie to make sure that that's parallel to the fretboard, or even slightly back from the fretboard. But I'm going to move those two intonators back one. But I'm going to cut the strings off now, as is my wont. And I wonder if the bridge is set or is it movable. It's set. And there's what I was saying about the bridge. See the way it's moving about like that? It can move. Well, let me bring you down. Just to check your own bridge, if you have a guitar like this here, there's movement there and it can go forward. It's because those holes are too big and they weren't set properly. And maybe there's even movement here. Yes, there is. There's movement in those as well, as you can see. So they haven't been put, well, they're not in as firm as they could be. So we're going to take it apart for cleaning purposes too. This is always a pain when you're working on a guitar with a tailpiece, because it'll end up smashing against the side back, and although it seldom does any damage, it's still doesn't feel good when it's smashing against the guitar back. So best to tape it down at this early stage. Now I'm not comfortable with the wiring in this, but I don't know why. What I see is I see a bit of paper tape on the inside there, which you can see. George, you're going to go out of shot now. Isn't that terrible? Shocking. Isn't it? You can see there's a bit of paper tape, and that always makes me worried that it's been ham-fistedly done. Be a little bit more delicate with the WD-40 this time. I think if you're ever going to do something with these, I think I would change the pots. They're fine, but just something about them that doesn't impress me. But anyway, if it works, it works, and if it works regularly and handily, don't change nothing. You know, don't change for the sake of changing. I'm just being an old fart. Yeah, it's alright for these guys that say, oh, you want to change these pickups to Wilkinson or Fender, or buy a couple of these special humbuckers. Yeah, but we don't live on the same planet as you. You know, we can afford £120 pickups, and things like that there. So it's not going to happen, roars. It's not going to happen. The wrong screw there. A tiny hint of a crack here. So I'm going to see what I can do to get this working. The screw's not tight either. Oh, fluff and dust. It's wired okay. It needs cleaned. But with these hollow bodies, it looks like the screws have gone. Let me just see how far deep that goes into. Yeah, and there's a, can you see the tiny crack or something just down right across there? Anyway, I'm going to fill that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it, but I'm also going to fill and glue it, because we need a strong, yeah, we need a strong bond with the wood. It doesn't mean to say I'm not going to put the screws in right away, you know, but it does mean to say that I want a good bond in the wood. That's it. Now I'm going to see if I have screws that'll do that in gold. Where are my gold screws? Screws gold. Do I have them that size? I'm not quite sure I have them in the size that I want them to be in. Oh, I do. Okay, I do. Okay. What you see me using is bamboo wood for no other reason than these cotton bud tips are made of bamboo, and for no other reason than they were the cheapest. Because I'm a cheap bugger. Yeah, that's okay. Right, okay, that's that little bit job done. I'm going to pause now. Right, I've moved those intonators, but I've also noticed that you can see it's cracked right down there, down the middle. Probably somebody maybe have forced the intonator into that slot and it's cracked. But the only real way to fix that is to break it off altogether and glue it back on again. But I wouldn't want to do that, because that would be a little bit dubious to do, just in case. But it's probably cracked because it's dry. Probably more prone to cracking because it's dry, because I don't think it's probably ever been treated with lemon oil or anything like that. So I'm giving it a little bit more, and I think someday there's another little job the owner needs to do, put some more oil on that. Another little job to do is just to replace that, but that might be more difficult if that is pinned in, but I think that is actually double-sided taped in. But we're going to let that sit, and we're going to let that sit too as well for a while to let the oils flow into it. Lemon oil, every time I use it I say don't forget to make sure that your lemon oil is not containing dangerous chemicals, because you can see I'm using it all over my hand, because I know my lemon oil is good quality lemon oil, because most of it is, oh god, I can't remember the name of the oil in it, but it's an oil you can use in your hands, and the people use it for cleansing and all that, for their face and all. What's the name of the oil? I don't know, but we'll see. Keep saying it every time, but I forget now. What I'm going to do now is try to straighten this neck while that's moisturizing down at the end, and I need to take that off to straighten the neck, because there's an underbow. Did I show you the underbow? I don't think I did. I think I'm very naughty, didn't I? I did that without letting you see. Well, the underbow has gone. And what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells you that the underbow wasn't doing anything. It was just sitting there and the neck was allowed to pull together. Neck's very dirty there, we'll see. So we're going to take off the truss rod, and I hope that the truss rod is very loose. Because if the truss rod is very tight, that would be a worry, because it doesn't seem to be doing anything at the moment. So if it was very tight, it would be bent upwards. But we have an underbow which is now straightened out. So I'm hoping that that's telling me that... Let me just see. Yeah, truss rod doesn't look to be have moved as much. Let's just hope it's done something. It has. So, it has done something. Doesn't make me that happy though that it's not loose, but we'll see whenever I put the strings back on, because now that I know that the truss rod's doing something, then I'll adjust the strings whenever they're on. But I'm going to work on this neck now. But I think I have to stop the video and replace the card in it and come back to you. There we go. This next bit you're going to see speed up me doing Superman speeds of checking the levels. All that is not level. I did get... work on so many things I forget. Right, the neck's the way I want it. Right, so we're going to give it a bit of a leveling. Hello, Georgie girl. Hello. How you doing? You just coming up to say hello whenever I start talking to the camera? Are you? Right, okay, where's my leveler? I think that's it mostly... You see? You see? You see? Dirty girl's huffing with me. Are you huffing? You can come up if you want. I'm not stopping you. Looks pretty good down there. And the only other place I found was up there. A couple of frets there and there. You know, I forgot about this stuff. I must keep a better memory. I must try to get a better memory. That's 00000 wire wool, and it does a wonderful job. I remember saying that. Why have I forgotten about that? Much simpler too to use than 3 levels of sandpaper. Soap and water time. Soap and water. Water with a hint of fairy liquid. For hands that do dishes can stay soft as your ass with mild green fairy liquid. Speed this up now before people get sick. Let's get some, my favorite lemon oil. Lemon tree very pretty, the lemon flower sweet. Well, I think it's not the lemon fruit is sweet. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to let that sit on it for a while because I bet you that dries in quickly. Don't forget, when you're using lemon oil, make sure you have lemon oil that has only mineral oil in it. And mineral oil can be used for anything. And it can be used for face cleaner and everything, so make sure it has no real chemicals in it, but uses mineral oil, which is the word I couldn't remember the other day when I was trying to remember. Okay, I'll let that sit. Okay, come back to you later. Okay, that's sat on it for a while. I'll just take it off a bit and then give it a polish. I might end up putting something else on top of it, like high build finishing oil from Crimson Guitars. I wonder how many times I have to mention that before you'll send me a free bottle. Crimson Guitar, high build polish. Although it wouldn't do me any good because I've got 2 brand new bottles here, and they'll last me for a long time. So thank you for the thought, Ben. You didn't. I love it. If I don't laugh at myself, who can I laugh at? Eh? Clean the body, put it back together again, put the strings on, intonate it. But when I put the strings on, I'll come back to you, let you see intonation. You don't want to see me cleaning. My goodness, so get the vacuum cleaner out and let me video that, and you might be entertained then. Bye-bye. That's the head, clean, polished. The screws were loose and so were the nuts at the back. The tuners themselves are about the right tension. I like that. One thing I knew about, which I forgot to tell you about, was that the neck's broken. It's got a crack going up there and down there. And I think the fretboard's slightly loose, but I'm not to fix that at this stage. I think he just wants to have it. The things that I need to fix like that, is it separated from the, I think it is separated from the fretboard. Maybe not, maybe that's just rubbing, but that's cracking. But that would take a few days, and the guy who needs to have his guitar back, I'd have to sand that down and all that sort of thing. So that's it all cleaned up and nice and neat. Now I'll put the strings on and come back to you. There you go, the strings are on. You have a good look. Can you see an issue there when the strings are on? Can you see the issue? The distance from there to there is quite a bit different from the end, but also the E string is right on the edge, so the bridge needs to move this way, away from it. And if you remember, the bridge is on double-sided sellotape, so it doesn't move. But it's going to move by the time I finish, because I want to bring those strings over. Other way to do it is to cut new grooves in that, but I don't think it's needed. So I'm going to... Georgie girl's just not being nice to me today. She doesn't want me doing guitars, so she keeps thumping my hand. Don't you? There she's putting her paw on my hand. That looks gentle and nice, but her claws are out, aren't they? And it's not the strings you're after. It's me you want. You want me to stop doing guitars. I've been doing guitars all morning and she's not happy with me. So let me just see where we are. Those 3 strings are hitting the neck, but let me just see where we are with this truss rod. That truss rod is dead straight. Let me look down the strings just to see down the strings which way the board's flying. Ah, right, okay. Alright, I see it now. The board is this way quite a bit. So I've got to compensate for that by bringing that up. Right, okay, that's not a good sign. I'm saying a lot of right okays, which is not a good sign, because that string is touching the top now that the truss rod is right. So I'm going to have to look into this deeper to find out what's really wrong with it. I don't want to put a huge underbow on the correct whatever they corrected when they did this. But the neck is quite a bit of an angle. So one way to fix it is to allow an underbow in it, but the other way to fix it is to raise the nut at one end. They're all buzzing. Alright, more work. Okay. Right, I want to try to show you what the problem is here. I'm going to try to keep the camera parallel to the bridge. Let me just get it in focus here. That's parallel to the bridge, but it's not parallel to the body. Now if I was to make this parallel to the body, I'd make it like that. And you can see the bridge is crooked because the body is higher at this side, right? So the bridge can only go so straight, and that's the bridge flat down, right, flat down. But if I lift this up straight, look at the neck. Can I show you where the neck is? Can you see on the right hand side of the neck? It's raised. And if I raise that further, you might see the perspective of how badly twisted the neck is. The neck is twisted downwards. And so we've got the body is too high and the neck is twisted downwards down there. And this bridge, if I adjusted it up here to bring this up to the level of the neck, try to keep it roughly see it's coming up to the neck, roughly about the same straightness as the neck. If I raised that and I tried to get these strings to the right height, I have to raise that right up to the very peak, and that needs to then go up even higher. So we've got a twisted neck, twisted to the left, and a body that's twisted to the right or raised up on the left and pushing down on the right. So what I have to do is go to the nut, which is the very far end. Excuse me, in the window there. If you look at the nut at the very far end, it's down on the right, and it shouldn't be down on the right, it should be up on the right to compensate. So all those things have got to balance. So our lesson for today, children, is about this neck. And I don't think I'm explaining it well, so that's why I'm going to use a marker. This neck, when I first got it, was like this with an underbow, right? So when I brought the underbow up to straight, what I saw was this. That's the front part of the neck. These two frets were down. So the truss rod must have pulled up but brought those two frets down. So the truss rod must have its pressure point somewhere about there. So when I had strings on, it would buzz on the second fret. Say that's the first fret. I'm exaggerating, of course. It would buzz there. Now, to fix that, I had to put the underbow back on again. So that would be straight, and there'd be a slight underbow, and then that would be there. This is a much exaggerated picture, right? But now, here's another point with this neck. Let's look at the neck side on. Right, if we're looking at the neck from the neck being like that, and that being the fretboard, that's the top of the fretboard. This neck is like this, twisted that way, right? So the compensator for that, I'm exaggerating again, is to put the nut, that's the nut, right, is to put the nut like this with an exaggerated thing, is you make the nut thin there and broader there. Let me do this again. This is not, I'm not describing this right. Is the neck, So if you bring the neck down this way with frets on it, right, and this is the fretboard, right, like that. It looks like a penis. What happened to my it looks like a penis. What happened there? Try again. The last image I drew looked rude. The issues with the neck don't just start with the neck, they start with the body. And the body, looking at from the end view, say the bottom's there and the top has got a slight arch to it, hence the name arch top. I'm exaggerating these things. The bridge sits there like that, right? And the strings go on it upwards like that way. But this body doesn't sit parallel. This body goes up there a bit and then down. So the bridge is sitting at an angle like that with the struts going down. Now if that wasn't bad enough, the neck, which we look at the neck from this angle, the neck is sitting like that. So we've got a bridge sitting like that and a neck that's sitting like that. Don't forget that's all exaggerated. So the nut, to compensate for all this nonsense, should be there and there, going up slightly to compensate for all the nut going down, the bridge going down like that. So the nut should be up to compensate for it. So the strings would then run to a higher nut at this end, right? But the nut was the wrong way around and the nut was this way, angled that way, so it doesn't compensate. So we've got a mess of a built guitar. It's not a very well built guitar because we've got strings that want to go straight. We've got a neck that doesn't want to go straight because it angles that way. We've got a body that's angled that way. And we've got a fret here now that every time you tighten the guitar up, you end up with this fret and that neck going down. So what I've had to do is I've had to lower the truss rod again back down to an underbow that I find is barely acceptable, not quite acceptable, but that means that the first two frets go like that, the underbow goes like that, and then the last few frets go like that, and then right to the bridge. So you've got a higher action there than I would like, but it's not awful still. But this is a problem with the truss rod. So I've also corrected the nut that was sitting there by raising the other side, and now I'm going to put it all together and see if all that works. Now there you are. I'll sign these papers at 50 quid each for anybody who wants them. Right, that's it all set up and playing nicely. And what I would call is this guitar, it's the epitome of a guitar compromise. Because I had to compromise on the underbow, compromise on the bridge, compromise on the nut, so everything could play properly. That bridge is as high as I would like to take it without it getting, and this side's low because the body's that angle and the neck's that angle. But the action and playability is pretty good the whole way through it. And if I'm right in what I say, and I'm hoping that Junior Afifa is the man's name, will play it for me because he's coming to pick up his guitars this afternoon. So rather than me doing a demo on it, I'll get him to do a demo on it. So look forward to that. All right, go ahead. It's so nice to hear somebody playing the guitar. This is Junior Afifa again. Introduce yourself because it's going to be a different video now, so yeah.
Oh yes, so my name is Junior Afifa. I teach guitar and own a music school over in Newton Arts.
Okay.
So again, this was the compromise guitar. That's what we're calling it.
It'll last
You know?
1,000 years, but it's just needs a bit of work.
It's not necessarily, it's just, you know, there's something about this one, you know, even if it's cracks and whatever else, it's just nice to play, you know.
You just like it, like it, yeah.
Could get a new one? I don't want to.
And I think you're living proof of what I keep on saying in my channel, that any guitar can be played well if it's set up properly, you know. I have some guitar, I have some, what do you call it, Barbie doll things. A good player can use them, you know.
Yeah, no, 100%. But, yeah.
All right.
You know, definitely you don't want a guitar worth however amount not set up, and the strings are the neck's bowed, the strings are the intonations off.
That's right, yeah.
You know, a setup does wonders.
Well, thank you very much for showing me up on my YouTube channel. Thanks.
No problem. Cheers.
Bye-bye. And Georgia was very fascinated by the whole lot, weren't you?